Welcome to the Business Administration Podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Business Administration Podcast. My name is Dr. Leslie Sukup, and today we are going to be continuing our conversation on another stress management technique. And today we're going to be focusing on physical resilience. Now, physical resilience is, it's focusing on the physical body. However, I do want to make you aware that the physical resilience does have an impact as well on your mental resilience. So keep that in mind as we're having our conversation today. So let's start off with what we put into our body, because what you put into your body does have an impact on your fitness. So as you are going to the grocery store or you're doing your meal planning, thinking about what you want to purchase at the grocery store, take into consideration how many ingredients are on the package of food that you may be purchasing. If you have the choice, try to choose foods or products that have fewer ingredients. And the reason for this is that the more ingredients, typically that means that there is additional processing in that food. So buying a food or product that has fewer ingredients normally means that it's going to be truer, that those foods are going to be truer to their natural state. So let's take an example, or let me provide you an example. We've just had apple season here in Michigan, and I do have a few apple trees in my backyard. So one of the things that I enjoy doing with my kids is going outside and picking apples from the tree. An apple in its natural form is so healthy for you compared to a apple that has been processed. For example, you can take that apple and purchase or process it and purchase it in applesauce, but applesauce has a few more ingredients in it. It's been processed. It's still relatively healthy for you, but it's not as healthy as an apple in its natural state. So just a word of advice: as you are going through the grocery aisles and you are picking up products to put into your cart or your buggy, take a look at the ingredients and try to choose foods and products that have fewer ingredients. And I think after a while, you will probably notice a positive result in your body. All right, so let's move on into the physical fitness. Obviously, if you are already active and exercising, give yourself a pat on the back, because that is awesome. And I commend you for your efforts. However, if you happen to be in the group where you'd like to be more active, or maybe you've been mainly sedentary and you want to start making efforts towards being active, I recommend starting off small. And baby steps lead to a habit being formed. You don't have to bite off a huge chunk and think, okay, I need to run a marathon and I have nowhere to start. Yes, you do. You don't have to bite off more than you can chew. And I recommend, especially if you've been sedentary, something as simple as getting up and going outside, maybe walking around your house or walking around the block. And you can do this if that is if you find that doing it every day may be challenging, then try every other day and work up to where maybe you can do every day. Once you become comfortable with that, challenge yourself a bit more. Add a second loop. And that's something that you can build up, and it's cheap. I mean, you don't have to pay for a gym membership. You can do this on your own. And for those looking to build some muscle, maybe you can, or work on those ab muscles. You can do different body exercises in your residence. Something very simple to do is maybe some wall push-ups, maybe some crunches. There's squats and lunges. You can look up online proper techniques. Maybe even look at some videos on on different video platforms that can show you the proper technique. But start slow, because if you bite off more than you can chew, it's going to be hard to motivate yourself to continue on. So instead of going 60 minutes doing a whole bunch of exercises and you haven't really exercised that much before, what you're going to find is that the next day you're going to be really sore and maybe to the point where it's difficult to move. So I recommend just do a couple of the different exercises that you wish to do, and then see how you feel the next day. All right, maybe you're a little sore. All right, give yourself a day break and then maybe step in and do some more exercise the next day. But if you start off small, you are more likely to develop it into a healthy habit that will help build your physical resilience. Because the more that you take care of your body, the better you're going to feel physically, but mentally as well. Now, there's one other aspect of physical resilience that I think needs to be addressed. And this is those virtual meetings, or for those that even sit at their desk all day. And I know personally, I have had a lot of virtual meetings over the past couple years, especially with the pandemic. So there are some simple ways to add some stretching and exercise into your area, whether you are in a virtual meeting or you have an office job. And you'll notice that if you do these stretches or these exercises, maybe once every 20 minutes, or when you start to notice that your attention begins to drift, you can recover some energy, and that's going to refocus you on whatever needs your attention at the moment. So it's going to give you that positive boost to energy, which, instead of reaching for that coffee or that energy drink, maybe this is a different option for you to choose, and you're going to see your body perk up and maybe not need as much caffeine in the future. So one of the exercises that you can do is what I like to call the seated spinal twist. And this means that you would be sitting in a chair and your feet would be on the ground in front of you with your knees at a 90-degree angle. And you would twist slowly to the left and hold for maybe about 10 seconds. Sounds good. So hold for 10 seconds and then twist to the other side for 10 seconds. and do it 2 or 3 times. Another exercise that you can do very easily in front of your computer, whether you are in a virtual meeting or you happen to have an office job, are seated squats. And this is where you do a squat. You stand up, do a squat where your butt barely touches the chair or hovers just above the chair, and then you come up. And you do that 5 to 10 times. The other stretch that you can add into this lineup is a side stretch or a seated side stretch where you are sitting in your chair and you put your arms up above you, and then you grab your uh, one arm, your if you're let's say you're take your right hand, grab your left arm, the forearm, and then gently lean to your right and hold that for about 10 seconds. And then you will switch and stretch to your left side and hold that for about 10 seconds. And do that around two to three times, whatever feels right for you. And you are going to notice that if you perform these stretches, these exercises about every 20 minutes, or when you see your mind starting to wander or your attention starting to drift, you're going to get some additional energy into your body, and your brain is going to be able to refocus on whatever it is that needs your attention at that moment. All right. One last tip, and this is one that I love, and I wish I had more time in my life now to capitalize on it, but the importance of, you know, just even regaining some energy with a nap. Something as simple as taking, 20 minutes where you can just rest, gain a little bit of energy, and you come away refreshed. This is something that I think is priceless. Uh, it does so much for you to refocus you, give you additional energy. Now, I know 20 minutes normally is not enough for me for a nap. So at that point, I would say give yourself a couple hours where this will allow your brain to go through a complete sleep cycle, and you'll come away refreshed. Even more so than 20 minutes. But for those that are on a little bit more of a time crunch, 20 minutes is golden, and you can set your alarm to wake you up after 20 minutes, and you'll you're going to feel good. All right. It has been a pleasure speaking with you today on physical resilience. Until the next time, be safe and be well.